Reverse taper and regular taper I'm going to talk about as well, and how the reverse taper works and how you can make it work for you. Now, I had a message off a friend of mine, top lad, doing the Dubai Marathon on the 7th of January. Don't know why I'm shouting, I've got a microphone on, but he's doing the Dubai Marathon on the 7th of January, and he's got the flu. So he's like, oh, shit, 10 days to go, and I'm going to be kind of down, and maybe it's all kind of, and you begin to panic. Because what you've done is you've got fit, which is taking you a few weeks, if not months, and then you've gone into your dedicated 10 to 12 week training schedule towards a marathon. And then as you start to kind of wind down towards the end of it, you become hypersensitive to everything around you. And so you might think, oh, is that illness? Is that flu? And in this case, it is flu, but you might think, oh, have I got a cold, I've got a headache, etc. It's exactly the same with injuries. It's crazy how the body reacts. When you've been doing all this training, you've been doing lots of volume, long runs, interval sessions, lots of fast sessions, and then you start to back off towards the end because you want to freshen up the legs. You start to become hypersensitive. You're like, oh, is my calf tight? Is my hamstring tight? What's that feeling? I've never felt that before. Because your body, it's like driving a car 100,000 miles a year and then all of a sudden not driving it for 2 months. It's probably going to have problems. So the regular taper, the purpose of it, and always think this, whether you're going out for a long run, an interval session, an easy run, a recovery run, always think, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? Recovery run, purpose is to feel better at the end of it than I do at the start of it, so I can get ready to run fast on my interval run. And the purpose of that interval session is to build speed so I feel comfortable at running at race pace. Purpose of the long run, endurance and stamina, to build that in stamina and endurance so I can race the race, not just try to survive it. The purpose of a taper is so that you've done that training. And for me, it's always 12-week block. And that means 10 weeks of hard training, 10 interval sessions, 10 long runs, bunch of recovery runs and easy runs. Not complicated, yeah? The last 10 to 14 days, and for me, the sweet spot is 9, 10 days. And usually, when you're going longer, marathon or ultra marathon, you don't need that many days to taper because just a few days of lower volume, keeping the intensity, and I'll get onto that in a second, will freshen up the legs anyway, and we'll come on to the carbohydrate loading, etc. later and how that works. But the purpose is just to freshen up the legs. So you've been doing all this training every week, you've been hitting the volume, building the volume, and then you just gradually, kind of the training block looks like that, and you're gradually backing off a little bit. You're still doing the faster sessions 2, 3, 4 weeks out. Then it comes to the last 10 to 14 days, the ideal is a taper, so that you're freshening up the legs. So what that will look for me, what people usually get wrong is they'll just bring everything down. So everything will be super easy. They won't do an interval session. They won't do a longer run. And then when they get to race day, because they've not done anything for 2 or 3 weeks, and some people will do a three-week taper, because they've not done anything for that time, the race will be a shock. So they'll get in 2 or 3 miles into the race and it'll be a shock because they've not done anything for 2 or 3 weeks. It's really important to keep the intensity exactly the same, but reduce the volume. So if you're getting up to your total average kilometers per week, 80 or 100 kilometers, or 60 or 80 or 100, 120 kilometers per week, bring that down by 20% in the second week before. So 2 weeks before, bring it down by 20%. And then in that final week, bring it down 40% or 50%. So usually I will do, if I've got a marathon on a Sunday, I usually run about 80 to 100 kilometers. I don't need more than that. And it will be the same for that race week. So including a marathon, so 42K plus another 58K during the week, and that will usually be my freshening up the legs. And within that will be the interval session, which will be a scaled down version of the typical interval session. So within the 10-week training, specific training, I'll build up to 5 times 10 minutes, 10 times 5 minutes, and it'll be at a marathon pace. And then when I scale back that training, in that second to last week and last week, that interval session will look like 20 times 1 minute with 1 minute float to recovery. So I'll run fast for 1 minute, and it will only be at marathon pace. I'll not be pushing it, not be sprinting. Take yourself away from risk. Yeah, so you're exerting your body, so you're keeping your body used to marathon pace and the race pace that you're going to go through. That's half marathon or ultra marathon. Adjust. You're keeping your body nice and fresh, but it feels easy because you're only doing 20 times 1 minute. The 20 minutes total with breaks in between at marathon pace will feel very comfortable for you at that stage in your training. And then for the long run, I'm just going to bring that back. I'm still going to do a longer run than my usual recovery runs and easy runs. I'm still going to keep the same structure, but I might just do 20K or 21K or 22K long run. And that'll be the second to last week and the last week. So on the Sunday before the Sunday, I'll run a half marathon. And that will keep my legs really fresh. If you want to be really safe, just either reduce the pace of that long run and just have time on your feet and have like marathon pace minus 20% or something like that, so 20% slower than marathon pace, or just bring that to 16K, 10 miles. It's a nice, safe, easy long run to do 7 days before the actual race. Okay, so that's a taper, and the purpose is to freshen up the legs so you are ready to fire on all cylinders and race the marathon, not just survive it, yeah? That's the purpose of the taper. So you've got all that training, it's all absorbed into the legs, you're feeling good, taper, reduce the volume, keep the intensity the same, and then you're ready on race day. A reverse taper, in this case, it's like quite close to the race, 14 days away from the race, he's got flu. So in order to use it, you need to use everything you've possibly got as a benefit to you, as a weapon, right? So that'll be like, okay, great, I'm not running right now, I've got flu, but it's not really affecting me, and I've done all the training, I've done all the hard work. Have that confidence. Realize that you've done all the hard work, there's nothing you can do now, it's all out of your control, there's no fitness that you're gonna gain, like 9-10 days before the marathon, no fitness. And if you were to do a long run last weekend, that would give you 1% extra on what? So maybe it was a luck getting the flu, and maybe it'll freshen up the legs quicker. So for this week, be really, really, really gentle with the body. And then next week, in the last week, maybe go for a 16-kilometer long run, put some intervals into that midweek as you usually would. Don't change anything. So on the Wednesday, if that's your usual interval day, go out and do 10 times 1 minute or 15 times 1 minute and let the body get back into training. And what you'll do is you'll be down here because you got flu and you're feeling bad at it, and then you're kind of coming up and then you're getting back to regular training, and then you're getting back to where you were. And if you started around here at the start of the race, you're peaking just in time for the race. So it can be perfect for you. But it's really important to just relax in the moment. Don't panic. Speed bumps are going to come. This is why we get into distance running, because it teaches us about life. It teaches us that it's not the progress curve is not linear. There's going to be speed bumps. There's going to be obstacles in the way, and it's our job to problem solve on the go. And this is a perfect example. So don't panic. We've got flu. Okay, what can we do? Loads of vitamin C, loads of ginger, loads of garlic chopped up. Chop it up fine as you can. Leave it for 5 minutes. Take 2 garlic cloves. Do that 2 or 3 times a day. Your breath is going to stink, but it's going to get rid of the illness, yeah? And then all the vitamin C you can, and then be loading up on your kind of vitamins, your vitamin A, your vitamin E. Get all that into the body and be looking after your electrolytes to get loads of sodium, plenty of the right level of sodium, I shouldn't say plenty of sodium, magnesium, potassium, loads of fruit and vegetables, like cleanse the body and just be fighting. You become all that energy that you're putting into your running training, put that across and become a professional recoverer. So get ready to get better after this little illness, and then get ready to run quick on race day. And remember, you've done all the work. All the work's been done. There's nothing else you can do now. Everything's out of your control apart from you getting better from the flu, feeling better. Don't try to push it. Don't try to run too quick, because a typical mistake people make is, oh, I'm feeling a bit better today, I'll go for a run. And sometimes if you're over that flu or you're over that sickness, it can kind of like, oh great, now I'm better. But you want that psychologically. If you're strong-minded, what you realize is actually it's the strong man who is able to have another rest day and say, do you know what? I'm not going to build any more fitness. I'm just trying to collect the thought that I'm actually better when you might not be. So always better to leave it an extra day than you think it is. Oh, I feel great today. 1 more rest day, and then tomorrow, if I still feel this good tomorrow, I'm going to run. That's power, yeah? So good luck. You've got it. And I'll be rooting for you on race day on the 7th of January, Dubai Marathon. Good luck, mate.